In ancient times, there was a city where every corner was decorated with statues of demonic gargoyles. These statues were made of magic stone. Their eyes shone when the moon was full, and at night you could hear their mysterious rustling and whispering. The residents of the city lived in peace with these statues for many years. But one day strange and terrible events began to happen. People disappeared without a trace, houses burned to the ground, and frightening screams were heard in the streets. All this happened at the full moon, when the gargoyle's eyes shone brighter than usual. One day, a girl from the city, named Alice, decided to solve the mystery of gargoyles. She spent long nights studying ancient texts and communicating with sages. And so, she discovered that gargoyles were created in ancient times as a weapon against demons, but were forgotten and covered with the dust of time. However, gargoyles began to awaken to their true essence, losing their protective role and becoming dangerous creatures. Alice understood that the gargoyles needed to be destroyed, but how? And how to resist them when they have magical abilities. In search of a way to defeat demonic gargoyles, Alice turned to an ancient sorcerer known for his knowledge of magic and ancient secrets. He told her about an ancient artifact capable of destroying creatures made of magic stone. The artifact was located in a dangerous and forbidden zone inhabited by ancient creatures and powerful demons. Alice decided to take a chance and set off, leaving behind a clue that she found in ancient texts, the key to defeating the gargoyles. She overcame many trials, fought ancient monsters, and got to the place where, according to legend, the artifact was kept. But when she reached her goal, she discovered that the artifact was a terrible sacrifice, a high price to pay to use it. Alice was definitely on the verge of her decision. The radiance of the full moon penetrated through the window glass, illuminating the ancient altar and the mysterious artifact that lay in front of her. Her heart was beating faster with excitement. An internal conflict was tearing her apart. She knew that the light evil required to use the artifact would have terrible consequences. But she also knew that gargoyles had become a threat to her hometown and its residents. Surrounded by the silent shadows of the ancient sanctuary, Alice slowly raised her hand, preparing to take the decisive step. But suddenly, she felt that someone or something was watching her. The tension in the air increased, and she felt a threat chilling her to the very soul. Then, with an unexpected noise, the moonlight broke off, filling the room with gloomy shadows. Alice was stunned, not daring to turn around. But the shadow was already beside her, something dark and sinister, preparing for something terrible. And then she heard a whisper, "Don't do this, human child. The price is too high, and the consequences are unpredictable." Alice felt a chilling shiver envelop her body. The voice coming from the shadows made her think. It sounded familiar, as if it was urging her to step back from the black road she was heading down. But a vague premonition made Alice doubt. The gargoyles had become too much of a threat to her city, and she knew that if she didn't do something now, the consequences could be devastating. She resolutely took the artifact in her hands, preparing to pay the price for saving her city. She raised the artifact above her head, and at the moment when the moon broke out from behind the clouds and lit up the room with its light, she heard the shrill howl of gargoyles coming from afar. Then a powerful light blinded her, and then suddenly everything went quiet, and she woke up in another place. Her city was gone, and there were only ruins and emptiness around. Alice realized that she had paid a terrible price for saving her city. She was left alone, deprived of everything she had ever loved. Now she has only one goal left: to find a way to go back and correct her mistake. Alice wandered among the ruins, trying to understand what had happened. She found that the area she was in was familiar, but everything looked different. as if time here had slowed down and stopped in one tortuous instant. The deeper she explored this place, the more she realized something strange and inexplicable. She found an old scroll with mysterious symbols and notes in a language unfamiliar to her, which seemed to cause her a strange attack of familiarity. Alice felt that the answer to the questions tormenting her could be found somewhere in these notes. However, before she could read more, the scroll disappeared into thin air as if it had never existed. What she discovered made Alice suspect that it was all related to magical powers beyond her comprehension. She understood that in order to find answers and restore balance, she had to go through many encounters with strange entities and go through the dark corners of worlds that she had never been told about before. Alice continued her journey through various dimensions and worlds, plunging into mysteries and riddles that became more and more complex and confusing for her. She met mysterious beings whose existence broke all the laws of reality, and she learned about ancient legends that confused her consciousness. Eventually, Alice found an indication of a place known as the Crossroads of Worlds, a place where space and time were mixed and intertwined into a monumental maze that could lead to different universes and worlds. There, in the very depths of this place, was said to be an artifact, the key to all worlds, which could establish a balance between all dimensions and bring Alice back to her world. However, in order to reach this key, she had to overcome a series of trials, face her deepest fears, and overcome the darkest and most shocking visions she had ever seen. But her time was inexorable, because every step brought her closer to victory or defeat, and it is unknown what awaited her round the next corner. Alice went in search of the Crossroads of Worlds, hoping to find the key to all the worlds. She went through numerous trials and deadly traps, encountering non-human beings and various dangers that were difficult to understand. In the end, she reached the place where, as heard in the legends, there was a crossroads of worlds. Alice felt that everything that had happened to her had led to this moment, and she was sure that she had found what she was looking for. But she also understood that her journey was just beginning, and the most incredible and deadly trials were waiting for her ahead. Alice stepped to the intersection where there seemed filled with ancient wisdom and forbidden knowledge, and she felt that time and space began to distort around her. It was at this moment that she realized that her fate was intertwined with the destinies of all worlds, and then the key to all the worlds appeared before her eyes. But in order to get it, she had to face her deepest fears and make a decision that could change everything. Alice stood in front of the key to all the worlds, feeling the streams of magic and energy that radiated from it. She had to make a very important and decisive choice. She understood that the key could balance all dimensions and bring peace and harmony to every world, but she also knew that its powers could be used for evil. She stared at the sparkling artifact, trying to understand its true nature. At that moment, she felt a whisper of wind rise, as if the ancient spirits of the worlds had turned their attention to her. And then images of destroyed worlds and people suffering from the consequences of the gap between time and space appeared before her mental gaze. She had to make a decision, and she knew that the fate of the universe depended on this choice. Her heart was pounding louder when she made her choice, and suddenly, the key began to glow brightly, and a huge pour of air unfolded, surrounding Alice. When she woke up, she found herself in a completely new world, which was different, but gradually began to transform and distort. Now Alice faces an incredible task to unravel the mysteries of this world and find a way to balance it with others. But now she understood that her decision affected not only herself, but also every world she visited. And so, in order to return home and prevent the consequences of her choice, she will have to immerse herself in the new adventures facing her. And in this new world full of secrets and dangers, she will be forced to use all her knowledge, magical abilities, and courage to unravel the secrets of this world and return balance to the universe. Thus began a new stage for Alice. New wanderings and new challenges that lie ahead of her in the struggle to save the universe. Her story is just beginning, and her decisions will give rise to a new era for all worlds. But that's another story.